Well, hello. It's been a while since I've done my my last video. So what I've got to show you today is the bending of the radius of the roundness of the tank. So what I'm going to do is lift the camera off and just show you the jig that I've made for that. So let's do that. Okay, so what I've got here is just a mechanism to bend that, which I actually, all this is just two little steps. If I just pull that out of the way for the moment, you can see there, just on a pin. Okay, now I've had to make so many changes to this jig, and it's taken quite a while to get it right. And what I've done, I'm in the welding bay, and I've welded it to the bench. Alright, so my radius is this fellow here, okay, and I'm looking for a 25mm radius, so I'm looking for about a 50mm outside diameter. Now, less the thickness of material, and a little bit for spring back. So I've got this round tube that I've machined down, and the rest of that behind that, square bits to clamp it to the bench. And because I've had to do so many, make so many changes to the jig, I just didn't want to bore you with all the trials and tribulations that I had doing this. This is what's come out. Okay, so I'm really pleased. The radius down here is correct. I'm spot on. So, and this here was my experimental first bend that went right. So the idea is to feed the sheet through, clamp it down, clamp this fellow down here to the bench, and then use this to bend it up. No different to what they call the standard pan brake. However, this one will allow you to make different radii bends, or large radius bends if you like. So this part of the jig can be used for a multitude of different radii, and this top part here, you just make different sizes to suit what you feel you need for the right radius. Okay, now the guy who covers this fairly well on YouTube is Ron Covell again. If you look at large radius bends, he should come up in YouTube, and so hats off to Ron, because that's really, I just copied this the same thing. I looked at our own pan brake to do that, but it was just too much modification required, and I didn't want to upset the machine that was needed. And this looked fairly simple, but it had its issues as well. So what I'm going to do now is just set up to do the bend. What I did was measured the internal radius plus how high it needs to sit. Then I came up with this one, and then measured, and then make a correction to get the right height after the bend. So, and then you can see here I've written some bits and pieces, again only for this one, just to get me the right height. And I've scribed a line, don't know if you can see it, that line there, that's the where the quarter of the bend, that's where the bend starts. But I found this marker here better when setting up to bend, so I can just measure it from the edge of, if you like, of this radius. So let me set this up for a bend, and actually it's probably my last one. Then the next part will be drilling holes, cutting out the rest of the bits and pieces necessary to finish this part of the tank. So I'll just put you on hold for a moment, and while I just start to set up and get this going. Right. Okay, the purpose of that was to just put a little stop so I don't push this back too hard. And again, you can see there, I just have to clean the bench up when I'm done. So just 2 little bits of square tube just to help it not push this fellow back, which I had an issue with on this bend here, and it wanted to try and mess up my bend. So one final check, just that I'm on the line. I don't know if you can see that. One final check here that I'm on my scribe line, and which I am. So I guess I'm ready to go. So we'll see how this bend goes. So I'll put you back on here, and okay, let's see how that goes. Now what I found was it goes almost all the way, and then I use the rubber mallet just to finish it off and make it look square. Okay, okay, here we go. Remembering I'm bending 2mm aluminium, so there you go. Now that's not quite at the 90-degree mark, so what I need to do is just square that up. Hi mate, how are you? Yeah, good. I'm just YouTubing the camera. Smile. Smile. Smile.
Oh, okay. No worries.
It's okay. It's okay. Okay, let me take you around. There was just somebody poking around, say hello, see what I'm doing. Okay, so you can see there that I've got fairly close to 90 degrees there. and so just a little bit more of a tap, just about here. Again, I'm just using the eye. Okay, and my little stops there, should have thought of that earlier on, but they work quite well. Okay, so let's pull that out and see what it looks like. Of course, this is the inside edge, and so it looks a little bit marked, and the blue is my outside, which I wanted to look a little bit more pretty. Right, just one final look, and you can see this jig here, the bending jig, is now for anybody else who might want to use it for large radius bends. Okay, so there's my two ends, and now we go and check all the measurements to make sure that I'm happy with where I sit in height wise. Okay, and you can see, if you look at the edge, you can see the type of spring back that you tend to get. You can see that gap in there, and that's why this is a couple of mils smaller than what it needed to be, because I was aware that I would need something for spring back. So let's pull it apart, hop on another bench, and see how it's all looking. Okay. Okay. So I'll spend the next 5 minutes cutting that out of the bench, cutting it off, cleaning it up so that I can leave it back the way it was. Alright, I'll just close down for a little while I just cut all that away, clean that up, then we'll go over on the other bench. Okay, so here we are, back at it. The tank, as you can see, looks right. You can see the strengthening ribs that I've got. So the next stage is to cut out the major holes for, as example, the filler neck here. Whilst the holes are drilled, I've still got to cut out one large hole in the middle. The sump needs to be cut out, which I've got over here. Okay, so that's the sump and the drain plug. So that's one large rectangular hole. And of course the reason I couldn't, the reason I had to leave those holes intact was because of the bending, that would pull the square over and just give me all sorts of trouble. So what you see is something that's resembling our 12-gallon tank that we need, which is about, we just did an estimation on it, it's about 54 litres. Now my only issue is that I'm about 3 millimetres short on height. Okay, it should be 125 high. I'm about 121, 122, and with that I've gone a little bit longer, so I'm short here but gone in width that same 3 millimeters. So I'm not sure what happened to my maths, but I can only imagine it would have been in the radius bands that I've been picking up error and compounding that pickup as I go along. But 3 millimeters, which is about 1/8 of an inch, is most acceptable. So the next step is to cut out the openings and prepare to weld in all the panels. Everything's ready to go now on that. So chances are I'll probably take the lot home and weld it there, seeing as I'm actually better set up there to do that. And as I've prepared a space to do that. My coin welding is still, this is going back a little bit, still not 100% happy with that, but it's getting better. And I've been experimenting quite fiercely with that, to the point where I've gone through about 2 bottles of gas just practicing my stacking the dome. Okay, let's call that quits there for a little bit and prepare to start cutting out holes.